So you might have heard about this, and you know what? You make a good point. It's unfortunate. You have so much going on here. It is certainly pushing this off the front page. There's only so much bandwidth people have. What are you going to do? Like, not cover the VP pick, not cover the Trump assassination? But unfortunately, yes, these people are still suffering. Israeli strikes killed at least 90 people and injured hundreds more in the Mawasi area west of Khan Younis on Saturday, according to Palestinian health officials, in an operation the Israel Defense Forces said targeted two top Hamas officials, including Mohammed Daif, the head of Al-Qassam Brigades, Hamas's military wing. Palestinian health officials called the attack a massacre, and the scale of the attack threatened to further stall progress on already strained ceasefire talks currently underway in Cairo and Doha. And Khalil al-Hayya, the deputy chairman of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, dismissed reports that the strike targeted Daif as a ridiculous justification for targeting civilians in a statement aired on Al Jazeera. Footage captured by Reuters showed hundreds of men, women, and children running away from a large plume of smoke on the horizon. Many carried their bloody and unconscious injured slung over their arms on makeshift stretchers. Smoke from a flaming and blown-out vehicle fogged the air as a woman wept amid the chaos. Quote, "They're all gone. My whole family's gone. Where are my brothers? They're all gone. They're all gone. There's no one left." In a press conference Saturday, IDF spokesperson Daniel Hagari said the attack was a targeted strike on a Hamas compound surrounded by trees, buildings, and sheds, and not a tent complex. He added that senior military commanders Daif and Rafa Salama, as well as other Hamas militants, were present in the area, but did not share details of that intelligence, and said the IDF was still verifying the result of the strike. In a separate statement, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the IDF were not certain whether Daif and another Hamas commander had been killed.
Notice they never have any actual information to give you after one of these things. It's always, yeah, there were Hamas commanders here, and we think we got them, but we'll get back to you.
We'll get back to you. We'll let you know. And even if they were there, it's no justification for what they did. This was supposed to be a safe zone.
Yes. 90 people dead.
Yep, at least.
At least.
Daif, who is believed to be one of the masterminds behind the October 7th attacks, rarely speaks and has never appeared in public. He has survived several assassination attempts by Israel. In response to Netanyahu, al-Hayya said Daif hears you now, suggesting that Daif remains alive. The IDF had declared Mawasi a safe humanitarian zone in December, though the area has been repeatedly attacked since. During the press conference, Hagari said the IDF had called for civilians to move to the area, but that Hamas's high-ranking leaders had embedded themselves among the population, prompting the strike. Now, I just want you to think about this for a minute. Imagine an American town where they were after two bank robbers, and they decided to bomb the town, killing all civilians around them. Would we find that acceptable?
Right.
This is the atrocity that Israel is committing on an almost daily basis that people are meant to accept as a reasonable formulation. Well, they were there, so we had to kill all these men, women, and children. Of course we did.
Exactly.
We couldn't send in. They're supposed to be such a great army. You don't have special forces to send in a situation like that.
When we attacked the bin Laden compound, there were children, a lot of children, big families, a lot of children in that compound. On every floor, they ran into, quote, the several knots of children. That's what they called them. You know how many children died in that raid? Zero.
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 Yep. On X, the European Union, this is not about Hamas. This is about genocide and ethnic cleansing. This has always been the Zionist project from the day they showed up in that region.
Yep. Well, if you notice that paragraph there, we called for civilians to move the area, to the area, but that Hamas's high-ranking leaders had embedded themselves among the population, prompting the strike. So when they order the evacuation of an area, right, they say we got to clear the civilians out of the area so that we could strike the area. Isn't the implication there that Hamas is in the area? So what? Hamas is not going to take the cue to flee with the civilians?
Right. They're going to wait for the bombing.
Exactly. So in those instances, it ain't about killing Hamas. It's about clearing out the area and killing whoever happens to be in the way when you go and do that. So now they're saying, well, they were there, so we had to strike even though there were civilians present. Well, that just tells you all this bullshit about, we leaflet the area to get the civilians out. That's neither here nor there.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Right. On X, the European Union's top diplomat, Josep Borrell, condemned the attack that he said, quote, seems to have provoked a carnage in Mawasi refugee camp, designated safe zone by Israel. Wars have limits enshrined in international law. End can't justify all means. We condemn any violation, he added. Direct attacks on civilians in designated safety zones are potential violations of international humanitarian law. Nearby hospitals were overwhelmed with casualties. Mohammed Sakr, a spokesperson for Nasser Hospital, told NBC News that the hospital did not have the capacity or medical supplies to deal with the wounded and injured, and that he expected, quote, a number of wounded to die due to the lack of treatment. Within a few hours, Dr. Mohammed Sakr, director of the nursing department at Nasser Hospital, told Quds News Network that the hospital was unable to continue offering medical and nursing services due to the high number of deaths, injuries, and amputees. Now, that was not enough for the murderous, sick, genocidal regime of Israel. They hit them again yesterday. Same people. Israel launches new Gaza strikes after weekend attack kills scores in safe zone. So just a couple of excerpts from this. In Deir al-Bala in the central Gaza Strip, where Israel hasn't yet invaded and hundreds of thousands have taken refuge, the municipality issued an urgent statement saying it was no longer able to provide 700,000 people in the area with drinking water after running out of fuel. Quote, we urge citizens to preserve what is left in their private tankers, and we stress the need to maintain the spirit of cooperation and sharing. Speaking amidst the rubble of his family home in Deir al-Bala, Walid Tabet told how an Israeli strike earlier on Monday had killed members of his family. Rescue workers and neighbors sifted through the debris to search for survivors buried beneath the wrecked building. Quote, my mother, an elderly woman, was sitting with me upstairs. She went downstairs, and after 5 minutes, I pulled her out from under the rubble. We also pulled my sister out from under the rubble, and my sister's children too. Those who died are my mother, my sister, and my sister's children. Children. One was 2.5 years old, and the other two, I don't know what happened to them. God willing, may God save them, he added. Saturday's carnage in Mawasi, one of the deadliest Israeli strikes of the war, has overshadowed negotiations that both sides had previously described as the closest yet to a lasting ceasefire. A senior Hamas official said on Sunday the group had not walked out of the talks despite the Mawasi strike. Israel says another senior commander was killed in the strike, but it has not yet confirmed the fate of Daif. Hamas officials have denied Daif was killed. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken met with Israeli National Security Advisor Tashi Hanegbi and Israel's Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer in Washington on Monday to discuss, quote, practical solutions that we have in mind, unquote, to bridge differences between Israel and Hamas on a ceasefire deal, State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said. Quote, I will tell you what we heard directly from two senior advisors to Prime Minister Netanyahu today, and that is that Israel is still committed to reaching a ceasefire. There are a few remaining sticking points. What they mean are living people. Those are the sticking points. And we're working to try to resolve those. We're committed to trying to do that. Following the Israeli strike targeting Daif, Blinken expressed, quote, serious concern about the recent civilian casualties in Gaza. Miller said, adding that Israel had a right to target militants, but must do more to reduce civilian casualties. Yeah, they're gonna take that under advisement right away, Count Morlock. Just absolutely horrific. Any peace talks. Look, they're in peace talks, right? Hopeful peace talks. Look what they're doing during the peace talks.
They've been in peace talks for months now, they've said.
Sure. This is all a game. This is the game Israel has always played. They will come to the table as a stalling tactic while they do what they're going to do. And what they're going to do is genocide and ethnically cleanse this region. Any pretenses of talks, look at what Netanyahu's demanding. He's demanding a ceasefire that's not a real ceasefire. Well, but we have to still be able to go after Hamas. Well, that's not a ceasefire.
Yeah, right. No, it's just, it's amazing this game that has been played for really, I mean, the last 10 months, right? I mean, for the
last 76 years.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in terms of, well, there's a ceasefire that we're working through, and then it always falls apart because obviously the goal has nothing to do with eradicating Hamas. It's about eradicating that Gaza Strip. It's about clearing that out and claiming that land, and there's been a lot of airtime occupied by the presidential race in these past couple of weeks because I don't think between the debate and the shooting, I don't think there has I can't think of two more tumultuous weeks in the history of presidential electoral politics at this moment.
Probably not.
You know, and so that has created a lot of focus on that. But remember, as all of you guys do, I'm sure, that no viable candidate for president voices any opposition, any meaningful opposition to any of this. None of them. And that goes for RFK as well.
Nope.
Right? And I wish Jill Stein were viable, but unfortunately she's not. And so that gives you a sense of where we're at, and it gives you a sense of where we're going to be in January of next year, when all indications are that Donald Trump will be the president again. Now you have to think, okay, what does organizing around causes like this look like under those circumstances? Do more people join us because now we stick Trump to this? Maybe, but maybe not. A lot of Democrats showed their true colors on this. A lot of them threatened to vote for Trump over this.
Right.
Michael Rappaport, biggest never Trump, a shill, you're a pig dick, this, that. He's saying you might vote for Donald Trump over this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that gives you a sense of what's going to be necessary. It's going to take a lot of solidarity and a lot of courage and a willingness, yes, as we said earlier, to bridge certain divides between certain factions of the left and really band together, because as much as the distinctions between what we call left and right have blurred over the past few years, but October 7th brought them into focus in a way that they had not been in years past, right? Because even a guy like J.D. Vance, right, who's talking about how, we need peace in Ukraine, well, where is he on this? The exact wrong place. Just like fucking everybody else.
All of them.
Yes.
Yep.
Exactly.
The only bright spot I can give you, I'd like to do some research on this if I get a minute, because this would be uplifting. I've seen it floating around that 16,000 Israeli businesses have gone bankrupt since this started.
Yes.
Because between boycotts, Obviously, nobody's taking a vacation there now. And a lot of people, not just for safety reasons, for ideological reasons, won't go to Israel now. I sent you over a story about some Israelis abroad are getting denied service at restaurants, or getting denied service at hotels.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm so glad Israel is there to save me from anti-Semitism.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Thanks, Israel. Thanks. So I'm going to look into that. And the European Union just moved to sanction all of these settler organizations and individual settlers in the West Bank. It's not nearly enough, but hey, man, the more steps like that you see, the closer you are to actually sanctioning Israel.
Right. Right. And that is certainly part of the long-term strategy in terms of getting some justice for this.
Yes.
Please clap.